It was a year in which I moved yet again. Not as far this time. The first time was across country. This time was just a few miles away. But it moved into a new area that had a cable network that would change the way I looked at music and reinforce what I liked before. A lot of changes were happening, and this year was the big year when all of that started to happen. The year is 1982. I'm T.C. Kirkham. This is Vinyl Recall. Welcome to Vinyl Recall. I'm T.C. Kirkham, TKR Video Central, and the Kirkham Report. Thank you for joining me as we head into 1982. Man, this year was hard to do because I had so many favorite albums that I only have on CD. Couldn't bring them up, and so I can't bring them up on this show. But I had a list of stuff I wanted, and I'm like, damn, I only have that on CD. Damn, I only have that on CD. Damn, I only have that on tape. Some of the stuff that I would love to have put on this list that I can't because I don't have them on vinyl include 1999 by Prince, Toto 4 by Toto, and Big Science by Laurie Anderson, which I only have on tape. The other ones I had to decide between, and this was a hard year because I changed a lot. There's some stuff that you're going to see as normal, a couple things were odd, but when we moved to Lancaster, Ohio from Newark, Ohio, where we'd been living the year before, we got MTV. MTV was not available in Newark. And so when we moved in the summer of 1982 to Lancaster, things changed. I was watching MTV almost 24/7. It was a crazy time. All the stuff I was exposed to, all the new music I was hearing, all the new bands and all the new sounds. Some of it affected me, some of it didn't. And my top 10 reflects that in many ways. Not strictly across the board, of course, because some of these are people that I've always liked, and some of them are still the same stuff I would always listen to and that you'd laugh at. But, you know, it's me. That's how we do things. So I've got my 10 favorite albums on vinyl from 1982 for you. Thank you to Vinyl Richie for coming up with this year-by-year format, and I hope you will like what I've got. Starting at number 10, a band I definitely loved because of MTV, and I would stay fans throughout, but I still think this was their best album overall. Really terrific because they were one of the few metal bands that followed the Three Dog Night rule. Have 3 lead singers and have some incredible harmonies. Now, they all contributed, of course, to other instruments and such, but they were fantastic, and the debut album is still my favorite. Number 10 for 1982, Night Ranger, Dawn Patrol. This album includes Don't Tell Me You Love Me, Sing Me Away, At Night She Sleeps, Call My Name, Eddie's Coming Out Tonight, Can't Buy Me a Thrill, Young Girl in Love, Play Rough, Penny, and Night Ranger. This is, as you can see at the very teeny tiny bottom there, there's a CRC. This came from Columbia Record Club. No special insert, but it was one of the very last albums to be released on Boardwalk Records. Their future albums would be released on MCA when MCA absorbed the Boardwalk roster that they wanted. These guys were fantastic. Brad Gillis, Jack Blades, Kelly Keagy, amazing harmony these guys had, particularly on Sing Me Away, which is my favorite song on this album. Also Jeff Watson and Alan Fitzgerald. Of course, there was Jack Blades would also later become part of Damn Yankees. I couldn't think of the name of the band. And Shaw Blades. This album is phenomenally good. And I do have a couple of their other albums, but nothing comes close to this. Even the one that had all the hits like Sentimental Street on it and stuff. I still like this one better. Number 10 for 1982, Dawn Patrol by Night Ranger. Okay, number 9 you're going to laugh at, but it's the last album on this gentleman's, on my list, on any list I think that this gentleman will make. I have a lot of other stuff by him, and not all of them have made my top 10. This one does, because not only does it have 2 of my favorite singles by him on it, it has some of the best album tracks he had done in years. He hadn't done album tracks this good since maybe 78's Even Now or 79's One Voice. This album does not get the love it should, and it is classic Barry Manilow. Here Comes the Night from 1982. This album features the 2 hits I love, his version of Memory from Cats and Some Kind of Friend. But the album tracks are amazing. I Want to Do It With You, Here Come the Night, Let's Get On With It, Some Girls. So I'm going to sit right down and write myself a letter. Getting Over Losing You, Heart of Steel, and Stay, those last 2 favorites of mine. Terrific stuff from Barry. Barry continued to evolve as he went through the 80s. There's the inner sleeve and the lyrics. And, of course, on that wonderful Arista label from the 1980s. Barry would do... I mean, I would continue to buy Barry Manilow throughout most of the 80s and into the early 90s. But nothing comes close in the 80s to this one. I did enjoy If I Should Love Again and a couple of the other ones, but this one is top-notch all the way. Number 9 for 1982, Barry Manilow, Here Comes the Night. Number 8, great performer, great producer, who is also an artist in his own right. When it first hit, the first single hit, I did not realize who she was. It took me a while. Because when she had been in the band she was in, she had dark hair. And I'm like, I don't know what? That's not the same woman? Yeah, it is. It's hard to believe that when you see ABBA in the 1970s, Anna Fredlingstad is the brunette, and the blonde is Agnetha Falskog, and now it's the other way around. Number 8 for 1982, Frida, Something's Going On. Produced by Phil Collins. Fantastic album. A great debut. Agnetha's wasn't bad either, although I do not have that album. I only have the singles, and I've listened to it a lot on Spotify and such. Great inner sleeve. She still has kind of dark hair there. And there's the lyrics. She was on Atlantic, which is normal for ABBA stuff. This album... terrific. And while it's not, you know, the ABBA that I loved, she turned in some top-notch stuff here. Tell Me It's Over, I See Red, I Got Something, Strangers, To Turn the Stone, I Know There's Something Going On, which was the big hit from the album. I got to turn my light on so I can see the rest of the titles. Threnody, Baby Don't You Cry No More, The Way You Do, You Know What I Mean, and Here We'll Stay. Fabulous album all the way around. It was a natural for me as an ABBA fan to graduate to Frida and Agnetha's solo stuff, and Frida's just blew me away. Number 8 for 1982, Frida, Anna Fredlingstad, and Something Going On. One of the first bands I found on MTV, I found, I think, the very first week, or close to the very first week, they were playing stuff from their previous album. And I'd read stuff about them in a couple of teen magazines that, you know, standing around the store looking through them. And then the single came out from this album, blew me away, and made me realize these guys are somebody I want to be watching. They've continued over the past 35 years, 40, going on 40 years now, they've continued to stay together. They split for a while, and then they come back together for a new album. It's all, there's no acrimony that I know of in any of the band members. They just take time off from each other, and then they come back when they're ready, similar to the way Bon Jovi does. And they've never produced bad albums, ever. Some people didn't like the covers album from the late 90s. I thought it was pretty damn good. I only have that on CD, so that won't be showing up here. But I love these guys, and I always will, and it's mostly because of one song and how crazy it made my mom. Number 7 for 1982, Rio from Duran Duran. This album is spectacular from start to finish. Now, after this album, the next 2 albums, lyrically, they started making no sense at all. I mean, you listen to Wild Boys, you listen to Reflex. A lot of the stuff that came out of Britain from 1982 to 1985, the lyrics are just insane. Culture Club, Kajagoogoo, they all had these, like, what the hell are they talking about? This is no exception, but it's a little bit more coherent. Rio, My Own Way, Lonely on Your Nightmare, Hungry Like the Wolf, Hold Back the Rain, New Religion, Last Chance on the Stairway, Save a Prayer, and The Chauffeur. Of course, everybody loves Hungry Like the Wolf. My mother worked as the only woman at in a restaurant at the time in the kitchen. They used to tease her about that bit at the end. She thought that was, she learned to hate the song that way, even though she didn't have a problem with being teased. But she never liked the song that well anyway. But my favorite song on the album is actually Save a Prayer, which is one of my favorite songs from them, period. Comes with a great lyric sleeve, of course. Great photo of the band. And this copy is on the custom labeled from Capitol. If you're lucky and you have an earlier press, it might be on Harvest, which is their British label. Top-notch stuff. Duran Duran Rio, number 7 for 1982. They were one of the first bands I discovered, but one that came out near the end of the year made me a genuine fan of the lead singer, and I still buy stuff from him. I love his stuff. I love his writing. I love his voice. Here, they were about to become a phenomenon thanks to MTV overplaying their videos. But the album is top-notch. In fact, they put out 3 fabulous albums. A lot of people don't really give the second 2 albums a lot of credit because they didn't have as big a hits off those 2 as they did off this one. But those 3 albums are all listenable. This one is listenable all the way through. Number 6 on my list. 7, yep, number 6 on my list. I gotta make sure I'm right. Look at my list here. Yes, number 6 on my list. Business as Usual, the debut album from Men at Work. Of course, this features Who Could It Be Now? I Can See It in Your Eyes, Down Under, Underground, Helpless Automation. People Just Love to Play with Words, Be Good Johnny, Touching the Untouchables, Catch a Star, and Down by the Sea. Colin Hay is an amazing songwriter. I love this guy. I have 2 or 3 of his solo albums. I have like 6 of them on digital, and I have 1 or 2 on vinyl and 2 or 3 on CD. I love the guy. He writes amazing music, and here, lead vocals, and of course he's got that lazy eye look that everybody noticed right when he hit the screen, because he has that very unique look, and it was fantastic. This was the inner sleeve from the album, and of course they were on Columbia. Great album and a terrific debut, and they really got the shaft with Cargo, and it's terrible, I can't remember the name of the 3rd album. I liked both of them. By the 3rd album they were down to a threesome, but they were still top-notch music, and I wish people would pay more attention to that and to Colin Hay's solo career. He does well. He has fandom. He has a huge fandom, but he doesn't sell on the charts. But I don't think he really cares. Most recently, he did a great duet with America's Got Talent winner Cody Lee called Hello World, which is just phenomenally good. This album is too, from 1982, number 6, Men at Work and Business as Usual. Keep changing the titles. Stop doing that, TC. Number 5, if you've seen my last 2 shows, you knew this was going to be here, because this woman is just amazing. And here, she's 15, and still amazing. Number 5 for 1982, Stacey Lattisaw and Sneak It Out. Sneaking Out, Guys Like You Give Love a Bad Name, Memories, Tonight I'm Gonna Make You Mine, Hey There Lonely Boy, Don't Throw It All Away, Attack of the Name Game, I'm Down for You, and I Could Love You So Divine. Once again, she and narrator Michael Walden pulled off a major album here. I Could Love You So Divine. Always the end song on the album is the one that soars, and that is definitely it. I am particularly fond of her reinvention of Shirley Ellis's The Name Game. Here it's called Attack of the Name Game, but it's played a little bit similar. There's no inner sleeve but cotillion. It's an amusing little ditty. That gentleman on the back is her brother Jerry. Really terrific music. And of course, Hey There Lonely Boy was a hit. Don't Throw It All Away was a hit. Huge on the R&B chart. They both hit the top 40, or just missed the top 40. Another great album from one of the most underrated and underappreciated vocalists of not just the 80s, but of all time. I cannot praise this woman enough. Stacey Lattisaw, number 5, Sneaking Out. At number 4, this is not my favorite album by her. Strangely enough. It's not even in the top 3. But it's still a great album, and it's who it is that makes it a great album. Because, be honest, I was not... When she jumped labels in 1980 from Casablanca to Geffen, I wasn't sure this was a good idea. But she was uncomfortable with the music Casablanca wanted her to do, and David Geffen let her have carte blanche on that first album, The Wanderer. The album didn't do as well as, the singles didn't do as well as they did from Casablanca's days. She wasn't doing straight disco anymore. But disco was dying. It was morphing into dance music and club music at this point. And she still did it well, and she still produced 3 of my favorite songs on this album, even if there's a couple I'm not all that thrilled with. And this album was produced by the extraordinary Quincy Jones. Donna Summer by Donna Summer, featuring Love Is in Control, Finger on the Trigger, Mystery of Love, The Woman in Me, State of Independence, Living in America, Protection, If It Hurts Just a Little, Love Is Just a Breath Away, and Lush Life. As I said, not my favorite Donna Summer album. My favorite Donna Summer albums are from the 70s. I was a disco fan. I loved her stuff. But I love her voice. I always loved what she did, even when it wasn't where I wanted it to be. I could tell it was where she wanted it to be, although she didn't really... David Geffen kind of pushed her into doing this album. She wanted to work more with Giorgio Moroder, but he insisted that Quincy do this, and she was never very comfortable with it. And yet it produced The Woman in Me and State of Independence, 2 of the best songs she's ever recorded. State of Independence, of course, is a remake of the John and Vangelis song. I brought that up when I got the new Hot Summer Night, which she does it with her daughter on that album, which was out, and which was what that concert was recorded around the time this album came out. I love State of Independence, and I love Woman in Me. Love Is in Control, the first single, is not bad, and the rest of it is fine, but those 3 songs stand way up above, and Woman in Me and State of Independence are way above Love Is in Control. So, yeah, that's just how it is. There is an inner sleeve, good inner sleeve with lyrics, and of course, by this point, they actually had a label. The Wanderer, the album was released was with the Geffen logo, but the single was on a Warner Brothers label, but the Warner Brothers was taken off, and it just said Geffen Records across the top of it. Number 5, Donna Summer by Donna Summer. Number 4, sorry. Number 3. I had already started gravitating toward new wave music in 79 and 80. Gary Newman, B-52s. Never liked everything they did, but I liked selected songs. The Cars. This band crossed new wave with synth pop and produced a gem. Now, is it overall a terrific album. It's a great album, but it's not a top album, even though I would consider it one of my favorite albums of the year, obviously. There's a couple of songs I'm not, really enamored with on here. But the singles and the rest of the album are pretty good. There's just a couple of songs I'm not that crazy about. And I would stay a fan, although I believe this is the only full-length album of theirs I have in my collection. I may have a later one on CD. But they also, off this album, would end up with the #1 song of the year on the Kirkham Report Top 35 chart. Dare, the Human League. Love this album. Don't You Want Me was the #1 song of the year on my chart. Also featured here, The Things That Dreams Are Made Of, Open Your Heart, The Sound of the Crowd, Darkness, Do or Die, Get Carter, and I Am the Law, the 2 songs I'm not that crazy about. Seconds, Love Action, I Believe in Love, and Don't You Want Me. This album is phenomenally good. There are a couple of clunkers in my opinion, but I have friends that like this album that love those and don't like a couple of the other ones. So you might get rubbed the wrong way with a couple of the songs. But, Don't You Want Me, fantastic. Neon Trees did a great cover of it a few years ago. I loved their cover of it. Love Action, I loved that song too, and it did not get the attention. It was the follow-up single to Don't You Want Me, and I think it peaked at number 40, and then they didn't have another big hit until Human in 1986. There was, Phil Oakey is an amazing singer and songwriter and everything, and an arranger. It's a great album, and definitely a valued part of my albums, and this is also a Columbia Records release, as you can see from the CRC there in the corner. #3 for 1982, Human League, Dare. #2, I'm going back to my safe zone. And I'll tell you why. This album got played so much, and I still love this album to this day. I love this series to this day. And to the credit of the UK and Israel, they made these guys huge stars on their pop charts. They had #1 hits in England, #1 hits in Israel. But of course, because it's a TV show soundtrack, radio wouldn't touch it in America. And that's sad because there's so much good stuff on this album. And on the follow-up albums as well, although none of them are going to make my top 10, I don't think. This debut album was special. I loved the show from it premiered because I related. It's what I had wanted to do. If I'd been in New York, I would have went there too. I didn't see the film until it came on cable after the series had started, and I liked the series better. I still think it's a great show. I wish it showed more often on cable, but it does not. And it has a great stellar cast of actors and singers and everybody that really makes it shine. And it's a terrific project. #2 for 1982, The Kids from Fame, featuring the cast, Debbie Allen, Lee Carreri, Erica Gempel, Carlo Imperato, Valerie Landsberg, Gene Anthony Ray, Laurie Singer on music with co-stars Albert Haig, Carol Mayo Jenkins, and P.R. Paul, who actually did not do any of the vocals. This album, Gatefold, with shots from the TV series, is incredible. And it deserved better than it got. Star Maker, I Can Do Anything Better Than You Can. I Still Believe in Me. Celebration, Life is a Celebration. Step Up to the Mic, High Fidelity, We Got the Power, It's Gonna Be a Long Night, Desdemona, and Be My Music. High Fidelity and Star Maker were both #1 hits on the Kirkham Report. High Fidelity hit #1 on the UK official charts. This album is phenomenally good, and Star Maker was #2 for the year behind Human League on my year-end chart. But the songs I really like on this album are album cuts. Step Up to the Mic, which features Erica Gempel, Valerie Landsberg, Carlo Imperato, and Gene Anthony Ray. Fantastic song. And Life is a Celebration, which is done by, I believe it's Erica Gempel and Carlo, isn't it? Yeah. I can't see red on brown. I can't see it without my light. Life is a Celebration actually is a Rick Springfield song. It had come back out on the re-released album Wait for Night, which came out after Jesse's Girl took off, and unfortunately they were in different keys, so when I tried to match them up it didn't work, but it was really, really, really a great album, and I played it to death, and I still play it to death. I still love this album, The Kids from Fame, #2 from 1982. And let's be honest, we're talking about 1982. You're talking about TC, the pop fan. I'm the pop guy in the vinyl community. Is there really any other choice for the #1 album of 1982? I mean, really? A total of 9 songs on the album, 7 of which were hit singles, the video of which was a monster, pun intended, and turned this gentleman into an icon. He was already a star when he was a child. He was a superstar after Off the Wall, and in late 1982, he became the man, the myth, the legend, the icon, Michael Jackson, Thriller, #1 for 1982. I mean, 7 top 40 hits came off this album. 7. Nobody had ever done that before. And he had an 8th top 40 hit during the run of Thriller with Paul McCartney's Say, 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 which became off of Paul's Tug of War album. There was Wanna Be Startin' Something, Girl Is Mine, Thriller, Beat It, Billie Jean, Human Nature, PYT, and the album tracks Baby Be Mine and The Lady in My Life, which should have been a hit. Michael was never, ever like this when he was younger, and he was never, ever going to peak this high again. Bad is a good album. Dangerous is okay. History is not bad either. But Thriller is a masterpiece. There is a reason it is one of the best-selling albums of all time. You don't have to like... You can like heavy metal, you can like pop, you can like soul, you can like psych, you can like punk, and you can still like Michael Jackson. Eddie Van Halen's guitar solo on Beat It gives you a good reason. Produced by Quincy Jones, again. I mean, when you think about Michael started when he was 9 or 10, when the Jackson 5 had their first hit in late 1969. And by 1971, he was not just the Jackson 5, he was recording solo hits. Got to Be There, Ben, Rockin' Robin, you know, those were hits. And then they started to slip a little bit with a couple of burps with Dancing Machine and a couple of others. But then they didn't have a really big comeback until 1979 with Blame It on the Boogie and Shake Your Body Down to the Ground. And then, of course, Destiny in 1980, which brought Can You Feel It and a whole bunch of other stuff. And by that point, Michael's Off the Wall was out, producing #1 smashes. And he would go on in 1984 or 85, when Victory came out, to do lead vocals for the Jacksons once again. Of course, they lost the 5 when they left Motown in 1975. The man was brilliant. But when we lost him at the age of 50 in 2009, that was a shock to everybody, and me too. The man was just incredible. The prolific artist that he was, the songwriter, the performer, the dancer, the personality, all of the quirks of the sparkly jackets and the sparkly glove and the face mask and, you know, the sunglasses and the moonwalking. He was truly a larger-than-life character. And he never got larger than he did in 1982. My #1 album of 1982, Michael Jackson's Thriller. one more time, recapping my top 10. Number 10, Dawn Patrol by Night Ranger. Number 9, Here Comes the Night, Barry Manilow. Number 8, Something's Going On, Frida. Number 7, Duran Duran and Rio. Number 6, Business as Usual, Men at Work. Number 5, Sneaking Out by Stacey Lattisaw. Number 4, Donna Summer by Donna Summer. Number 3, Dare by The Human League. Number 2, The Kids from Fame by Kids from Fame. And number 1, Michael Jackson and Thriller. And I would be remiss to say that one of the best parts of Thriller was Vincent Price's rap, for lack of a better term, on the title track. We're big Vincent Price fans in this house. And that was definitely a plus. Now, 1983. 1983 was the year MTV really started to take over my life, and it will be evident when I get the songs, when you see what's on the list, except for a couple things, which weren't on MTV, but were on the other part of the radio I listened to. It was different. It was exciting. There was new stuff. A new British invasion started with Duran Duran, and all kinds of things were changing in the music industry. MTV was influencing radio in a big way, and the charts in a big way. People had no idea it would be that huge. 1983 would also be a year that I was about to start my first major job. I didn't actually start working until 84, but I was working toward it in 83. And I just thought of it as just a job at the beginning. But over the years, for the many years I spent in the retail record industry, you know, I know all how that worked. I know a lot of the back stuff there. Nowadays, it's changed so much. I've talked to Adam at Record Crate, and I talked to a few people at the local stores around here. It's changed so much. But back then, it was going to open a whole new world for me, even more so, because I was working with people also like me that had music in their lives and were introducing me to stuff they liked, and I was doing the same, and things were changing permanently. Not that I ever gave up on chart singles. Not that I ever gave up on dance music or teen idols or disco. And I will tell you, you will see at least 2 Menudo albums in the near future. I never stopped growing as a musician, as a music fan. I don't think I ever will. I'm still growing as a music fan. It's what you love, and finding what you love is what leads you to buy these albums. I wish I had more of them. One album that I don't own at all that I love is Donald Fagen's The Nightfly, which IGY came from, one of my favorite songs of all time. Love Howard Jones' cover of it, but Donald's original is fantastic. I never heard that whole album until about 10 years ago when I listened to it on Spotify. Mind-blowing. I've never bought it. I don't know why. I should. It should be in my collection. But that debut solo from him, that if I'd had the vinyl, it would have been in the top 3 for sure. Same with Laurie Anderson, which I only have on cassette. Oh, Superman, one of my favorite pieces of all time. It's not really a song, it's a performance piece, but she is an amazing artist, and I love some of her stuff. But again, everything I have for her, other than that first album, is on CD, so you won't see much of it. I have Home of the Brave on vinyl. I got it from Adam a couple years ago, but it's a live album, and I don't usually put those on here, so it's you won't see that a lot. But you'll be seeing a lot more changes, so I hope you'll continue to come follow my growth as a musician and a music fan. I keep saying musician as a music fan. I'm not a musician. I don't play much of anything. A little guitar, a little piano, a few drums, not much else. In any case, I hope you'll continue to follow this journey every week on Vinyl Recall. Don't forget to like and subscribe my channel if you haven't done so already. And if you have, thank you very much. I'd appreciate it if you share the show with someone you love and let them know what I'm doing out here. And by all means, leave a comment. The comments are the best. I get to know people that way. I get to have conversations that way. And you can tell me, oh God, TC, Barry Manilow, really? Yes, really, sorry. Deal. I'd love to talk to you. Hope you'll be around for the rest of my shows all through the week, and through the weekend, of course, I do shows almost every day of the week, and that's going to be every day of the week before too long. And going to be fun. But until next time, for Vinyl Recall, I'm TC Kirkham, the Kirkham Report. Ciao, baby.